Okay guys, welcome to our channel. We are the Jet Lag Lazies.
In today's video, we're going to be talking through reasons why Australia isn't for everyone and why people tend to move back home so suddenly after moving to Australia. And if you want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Today we are in this stunning Shark Beach area.
It's just right behind us. See?
It's like in a national park.
Yeah.
You've got really good views, you've got like a boardwalk to get here. It's really good.
It's really beautiful and it's just been open a couple of months ago. It's been shut for a few years. But anyway, let's get to the point. Okay, our first honest insight would be people really have high expectations here when it comes to moving to Australia. They think like it's all sunshine and like you're gonna have this big house and a pool. In reality, houses in Australia can be like very expensive, so that can be quite difficult for a lot of people to get around.
Like maybe if you were looking at houses a couple of years ago, you go through the visa process and you think, oh, I can afford that house. Like now you probably can't afford it. You know, your 4-bedroom house with a pool is like super expensive, even in states such as, Western Australia, where it probably would have been a bit more affordable a few years ago. You know, because they have this idea of like Peter said, the sunshine and like the big house and the swimming pool, that it's going to be like a holiday.
You still gotta do those day-to-day things, like you gotta go shopping, you know, you gotta go to work, if you work in shift, you gotta lower the expectation a little bit and be like, yeah, you have a better lifestyle here, so that, but you still gotta do what you're doing at home.
Just in a nicer country.
Yes.
It's not going to be the perfect climate all the time. Well, you could have the big house, but you also need to work for it. It's not like because, you move into Australia and your salary's better, so then, you know, you can afford these things. Like not everybody is going to have that perfect lifestyle just because you've moved abroad. Another point that we've noticed is to do with work and work experience, and it's not necessarily matching up when you do get to Australia. A lot of the tradies, they have to go through the gap years. So you might have already been a tradie for 15 years back home and you've got your own business and you have people working for you. But when you come to Australia, the first year you need to do that gap training to get some sort of qualifications. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but it's a year when you're on pretty rubbish salary and people can't seem to see past that. So what we found, a lot of people coming over here doing the gap training but getting, annoyed at the fact that they should be on double the salary of what they're getting. But they're not patient enough to see the year through, so then they just go home.
Yeah,
they just give up and like, oh, I'm not doing this. I'm not working for somebody else. I've just spent the last 15 years like working for myself.
Yeah.
And just like it's just like an ego thing, I think, as well.
Yeah, but also like you gotta recognize that like certain work experience might not be recognized here. Like for example, if you're working in the NHS as a nurse for like, I don't know, it's like 7 to 8 years. If you don't have the right experience, or like you don't have that experience written down formally, they won't recognize it and you start at the very bottom of the van essentially. That's the same with like if you're coming from a manager position and you come here and you expect us to do the same position for a higher pay. Sometimes that's not as straightforward as it is. Sometimes you gotta start a little bit lower than what you have and then build up your experience in Australia and then work your way up from there. So I expect it to be like still be a very competitive field regardless of the industry.
Like so our experience with Peter's job, going through the visa process and you have to show like, you have this many years experience and things like that. It was fine for the visa process. They recognised that he's been doing this job for so many years. But then when we moved over here and you got the job, they only recognised a few years worth of experience, not the whole lot, and you had to do more paperwork and like get a letter from back home, the hospital he used to work at to literally state like he has worked in this position from this state to this state. So then you can get the salary that you should be getting.
If you can, just document all your experience and get it formally signed off by your employer. So another reason why we see people move back a lot is if you come moving with your partner or moving like as a family, you guys might not be on the same page. So it could be like
one person's
Yeah.
dream, like one of you. What we tend to see is that one's done the working holiday visa all those years ago and the other one hasn't, and they've spoke about it and spoke about it to their partner and they've talked them into moving, but they actually don't want to.
Yeah.
They have no interest in Australia or moving abroad or moving away from their home comfort.
Yeah, but then sometimes it's you yourself, you come over, you did this work on holiday visa because you had this idea of like, oh, you travel so, yeah, you was like probably a lot younger, you know, you travel a lot more, you had a little bit more freedom, you know, probably didn't have any kids. So you was thinking like, oh, this really idea of like, it's going to be really nice and everything. And then you come here, things have changed. Yeah, like in terms of like, Australia have changed a lot. And also you might have changed and like, you know, you have your family with you. So those things will factor in like, oh, actually, like it's not like, well, I thought it was 5-10 years ago, and then now you're having second thought, and that's okay. But like, this is something you guys should really consider.
I don't know, let's say like you are married, got a couple of kids, or you know, you're just together, got a couple of kids, and you move over here, but you're so used to having a massive support system back home. Like a lot of you guys like have like amazing relationships with your family, amazing relationships with your friends, are really happy with where you are, but then have this sort of like, oh, the grass is greener idea, let's move to Australia because we saw how nice it is on the TV or whatever. And you move and it's just you two and the kids, and you don't have your support system, you don't have anyone to look after your kids if you want to go on a date or to pick your kids up or drop them off at school when you've got to go to work, and it's just too difficult. Like, you need to factor in that if you don't have any family or friends over here to help, it is just going to be you two doing everything.
Yeah, that's really comes down to like you both having a really good, strong relationship. So you got to really have a good communication, understand each other, and know your flaws, and obviously you're positive as well. And you got to really work with each other.
Stressful, like
it can
it's
be very
not
stressful.
Easy. Like,
yeah.
This whole process, if you think it's stressful being in the UK, like it's horrendous when you say your goodbyes, isn't it? It honestly, you think like it's not like you didn't think it was going to be as bad.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be bad, but you know it's horrendous saying it's horrendous saying your goodbyes. You come over here, it's complete. Some of you may not have even visited Australia before, so you have no idea what to expect. And you come here, and there's so much things you need to do, and it's so stressful. Your foundation with you and your partner has got to be on point. Because if it's not, it's going to make it so much more stressful.
Yeah. There's one thing talking about and having that idea of like moving everything abroad and coming to Australia and like starting scratch. Another thing, actually living it and then starting from scratch, and like a couple of weeks, a couple of months of unemployment and things like that. Yeah, it feels forever. It feels forever and it gets stressful.
I know it sounds super simple, but you do just need to realise if you have no family and friends over here, like it is on you. Like, so you just need to mentally prepare yourself that we've got this.
Yeah, we were lucky enough that both of our family, when we told them when we moved to Australia, they were very supportive, and it makes it easier when we don't have kids. They were like very understandable. They were like, yeah, we totally get it. Like, go, like, live your best life.
But there is a lot of people out there where their family is like not supportive whatsoever.
Yeah, which we're very surprised about. And if anything, they make them feel very guilty. Like, oh, you're
selfish.
Like,
taking the away.
Like, why would you like do this to us? Like, look, everyone's got their own opinions and life and family. From my opinion, I think you gotta do what's best for you, and that means going back home or being here. But this is some things you have to consider, and especially if you have kids, like, will your kids have a better lifestyle here or like over in the UK? Again, there's pros and cons on both sides of the country, wherever you're from. When it comes to family, it's probably maybe the number one reason why people move back to the UK.
Just touching up on that family subject, like, it's okay to be homesick. You will literally have like a couple of days where you really miss like family. The next minute,
at the beach. You just hear, you're like, oh, we'll go for a swim in a bit. We'll grab a coffee and go for a swim.
You know, and then you video chat them and you send them your photos.
So we just had to start again and move slightly because the camera was overheating. It's just getting too hot. But what was you saying?
Just that, like, you know, don't book your flights home just at the first sign of being homesick, because, you know, when we moved out, people are like, oh, it takes about 2 years to feel settled. And I think that's right, because we've been here just over a year now, and I feel half settled. I don't feel fully settled, but I feel way more settled than like 6 months ago, let's say. If you do move over here and you do have that like homesick feeling, just try and push it out for a bit. Try and give it that 2 years, and if you really do like miss your family and friends too much, then like that's fine, because you haven't put all this money, all this time, all this effort into the visa process to then at the first sign of homesick just like leave. But like we've seen people and they've literally got here within like 3 months and already go back home.
Yeah.
There's no way you gave it your all in 3 months. Like, I don't care what you say.
Yeah, making friends here can be very, very difficult. People tend to have their own little groups already here, especially like the local Australians. And a lot of people that you make friends here, they're on like a work holiday visa, so they come and go a lot. Like for us, to be honest, we haven't even made friends really outside of work. We made like work colleagues and everything, but for us, it's like we haven't really put ourselves out there too much. We're very comfortable with each other. We like, you know, we say that we're each other's best friends because we do everything together and we're just very comfortable with each other, and we don't mind spending time with each other, because sometimes when we both work shifts, it's hard to actually have time to spend as a couple. So for it, it's not too much of a trouble, but it would be nice to have a couple of friends outside of work.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you know, you might get on with people. It might just be a Sydney thing, because I know like it is in Sydney. Like, I remember being on a working holiday visa in Melbourne, and I met some really, really nice people at work. They don't really want to get to know you. You try and ask them questions and try and be friendly, and they are friendly back, but it's like one-way conversations.
Yeah.
And I've experienced it, you've experienced it, so whether it's just a Sydney thing, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to make connections.
Yeah.
And you know, we have only been once on like a little meet up, like to meet like different people, and a lot of them are like just here temporary, and it's just nice that, you know, to meet people that's going to be here for the long term.
I think that's, yeah, could be honest as well, not putting ourselves out there a lot more. But like, yeah, if you like coming here alone, especially, you really need to put yourself out there. You need to go to these like social
You have
events.
to make an effort.
You need to go to these run clubs. These run clubs are getting really trendy.
Yeah.
So yeah, you really need to make, like, there are lots of events all around Sydney. There's groups all around, probably all around Australia as well, you know, on Facebook, where you can join and you can go around. Like for example, you have like loads in Bondi, you have like Irish around Sydney, you have pom-poms in Sydney. So there will be groups that you can join, and you have to like just put it like yourself out there and be like, hey guys, like, does anyone want to meet? Or you go to these meetups and social.
It might be easier if you have kids and you know, you can meet other families. Okay, so the next point would be people not being fully committed when they do move over here. So a lot of the times people still have a house back home, and they just rent it out, and they do that not because they want to be landlords. They do it because it's like their safety net. So when you do move countries, it's so difficult in the first few months, especially if you don't have a job lined up. We didn't have a job lined up. A lot of people don't have a job lined up, so don't think it's like the norm to have a job lined up. It's not, right? You got to work your arse off when you get here, put as many applications in, go to as many interviews as possible. And those people that still have a house back home that rents it out, first sign of like hard work, it's like, oh, we go back to the UK. Oh, and why is that? Because you have a house to go back to.
Yeah.
You know, if they was to sell their house, you could guarantee they would put the effort in, work their arse off, go through like the hard times before they decide to move back to the UK.
Because you have,
or wherever you
yeah, you have no choice. Like, if you're fully 100% committed, you've sold up everything. We literally bought like 4 or 5 suitcases, but like obviously some of you guys will have a house. Like if you guys don't sell it, honestly, it's in your...
It's like you're like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You're not fully committed to where you come from, like the UK or wherever, and you're not fully committed to Australia, you know. But it is so difficult when you get here. Like some people just, honestly, it's like water off a duck's back, you know. It's so easy for them when they get here. They have a job lined up, they've already got a house like rental up, and those people, like, yeah, fair enough, like it's easy for you, but a lot of it, it's so difficult.
That's just like get quite lucky with some industries, some jobs, and you know, you get quite lucky, but it's not the story for most of us. It's definitely not a story for both of us. And like, you can't exactly like judge Australia in like one area you live in, one suburb area, one city.
But they move over here, and let's say like they move to Perth and they don't like it, and rather than try, you know, a different suburb or a different state, they just move back to the UK.
Yeah.
They just completely give up.
They're like just judging the whole Australia, like you know,
On that
one place,
suburb,
and
yeah.
within the like 3-4 months. In our previous video, we mentioned that like different cities and different areas of Australia, even states, have different vibe to it,
Yeah.
and like different type of people you meet. So you gotta really try them out, you know. And like if you're not fully committed, halfway out, halfway in, you're just gonna go home and like, oh yeah, like the kids can go back to school. You know, you already got a house, the family's already there. You can meet your friends and family. It becomes a very, very expensive holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very expensive
A
holiday
very
just to
stressful,
try it out.
yeah, and non-joyful holiday.
Because you might have done all the research and you might have thought, you know what, the Gold Coast is the place for us. You know, the family's going to love it. It's great for the kids. But you get there and you absolutely hate it. You might hate it because you're in Surfers Paradise. Because we went to Surfers Paradise and we hated it. Doesn't mean we hate Queensland. We
Yeah.
love Queensland.
Yeah.
We just don't like that area. It's not for us. Yeah, so it's like judging the UK on, you know, you go to Blackpool and you're judging like the UK on Blackpool, where if you go to St Ives in Cornwall, it's a completely different vibe, completely different scenery, completely different types of people. You know, it just doesn't make sense. Like, why are you spending all this money to move over here? And you're moving your kids, you're uplifting them from their life
Yeah.
to come to Australia to have a better life, and just because you don't like that area, you just move back home. It just makes no sense.
We did a work holiday visa. We lived in Melbourne for a few months. We came to Sydney for a few days to explore.
I really like it.
We did like it, yeah.
Really like Sydney, and now we love it.
Yeah, it's too crowded. It was too busy, and it was expensive. And we're like, we love Melbourne. It's the vibe. And then we landed in Sydney because there's more job opportunities. And now we just love it here. Yeah, except for the prices.
Yeah.
But everything else we love here. Money situation, like you just gotta save. And if you think you have enough money, you save some more. You save as much as you can. And if that means like not going out for a couple of years, then it has to be it. You know, like save as much as you can and making those little sacrifices so you can set up yourself here for the rest of your life. You know, a couple of 4 to 5 years, 10 years of saving and doing minimal stuff compared to the rest of your life here, moving to Australia where you want to be, is you can't compare. You know, you got to really just like nail it down, saving, because like for us, like it costs a lot of money just even moving here. Like before we even touched down in Australia, it cost us like so much money, like the visa, the cost of like moving everything, the flights,
The exam,
yeah,
that you have to do,
the assessments,
the skills assessments, it all adds up, you know.
yeah. And then some of you guys will have like pets they want to move.
Oh, that's expensive.
Yeah, like furnitures you guys want to move. So like those things, shipment, like they cost a lot of money. You're gonna have that much amount of money to say, be like, okay, if we're unemployed for 12 months, we got enough money to keep us afloat. Okay, that's the worst case scenario. Ideally, you want to be starting a job in a couple of months, but you want to think of the worst case scenario, because when it comes to like expenses in Australia, it is very, very expensive,
and things start to like pile up because I think the rent is so expensive compared to what we're used to anyway. And it just, once your rent's gone, then it's like, you know, all your other bills on top, and then it's like the food, and then, you know, if you want to go out for something, to like, it just adds up and adds up, and it just eats into your savings. Being in a rush to get over here, like everybody wants to get over here and everybody wants to get over here now, but you need to make sure you have savings, because when that money starts going, it goes very quick over here, doesn't it?
Yeah, the top tip, and we notice some families do this, some people do this. If you don't find a job in a couple of months here, they go over to Asia because it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, our friend did this actually. Yeah,
you go over to Asia, you go to Thailand, Bali, whatever. You spend a couple of months there and you sit it out.
So a couple of months sitting it out in Australia is worth probably 6 months sitting it out in Asia.
Yeah.
In terms of like the money that you'd spend.
Yeah, and you can always do like your job interviews through like Teams.
Because you did that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another thing, like the visa restrictions. So working holiday visa and like the 491.
Yeah.
Okay, so working holiday visa, we all know they're temporary, you know, but there's still that 6 month. You can only be like with one employee for 6 months. Like there is certain exemptions, isn't there?
Yeah.
But a lot of the employers just say, okay, you're on that visa, oh, there's restrictions, yeah, no, we're not going to go with you. So people on the 491 can sometimes get over here a lot quicker, and you know you need like less points on the 491, so that's why people tend to go for that over the 190 or the 189. Some people have found it hard with work because they see it as like a temporary visa, and even though it does lead on to permanent residency, it's a bit of a
essentially most jobs will have you apply by basically filling an application form. Then they want you to upload your CV on top of that, so it becomes like a criteria basically to select them for an interview. So then when they see it'll ask for your visa, right? Are you permanent resident? Are you Australian citizen?
Yeah.
Are you a temporary? Yeah, it doesn't tell you like, you know, what visa you're on. It just tells you, are you temporary resident or are you Australian citizen, right? Once you tick that temporary, sometimes they see it, they just pard you off. They don't even bother looking at your application.
They don't see that you can live here for like 3 years and then like apply for permanent residency. They're just like, oh, temporary, like no.
Yeah.
And then also with the 491, you don't get
Childcare subsidy.
So that can be very expensive. So then you're weighing up, do 2 of you work and then you pay this expensive childcare, or just 1 work and 1 look after the kids.
Yeah.
And also people that want to buy a house over here. So a lot of people, like when they move, they sell their house back home, they come here. So we've known people to get a mortgage within 1 month. 1 month of being here, they just had 1 pay slip and they've managed to get a mortgage, right? And so a lot of people, you know, they don't want to be renting. If they've just had a house back home, they don't want to be renting. They want to buy a house. But if you're on a 491, there's extra fees because you're classed as like a foreign national, like a foreign investor, or whatever the word is. You're not classed as like obviously a permanent resident or a citizen or whatever. Yeah. So there's extra fees on buying a house. You don't get help with your childcare fees. And then some people obviously find it hard getting a job.
Some people don't have a choice, so you need to go on the 491 because that's your only option. And if that's your only option, that is your only option, and you need to make it work. But these are the things you need to consider when it comes to temporary visa and its restriction. And again, you need to do your own research. Alright guys, so those are some honest points coming from 2 Brits that lived in Sydney over a year. Like, look guys, we don't want to be like a downer on the video and everything, but these are like some of the expectations you need to have, and like things that you need to consider. Like moving to Australia can be a lot harder than what a lot of people think, but with the right mindset and the right support and the right things that we've said on this video, like you definitely make it work.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, look, if you decide to like, Australia's not for you and you go home, that's fine too. Like at least like you guys have tried and have actually made the move and give it a really good go. And like, it's not for everyone, 100%. If you gave it a go, that's fair enough, because then you don't have that what if.
You don't have regrets.
Yeah, you don't have regrets in your later life. Be like, oh, what if we moved to Australia 20 years ago? Our life would have been different.
But also, like when you do go for it, you know, just stick it out. Just realise that it is hard at the start. Don't have regrets. Do it. But also, if you do it, put everything into it, you know.
Yeah.
Because then you'll have regrets of like, oh, what if we just stayed in Australia that like a further year? Would we have felt different? Or oh, what if we did move to like Brisbane or the Gold Coast rather than just go to Perth and stay there, you know?
Yeah, guys, because Australia is a beautiful place. I mean, look at this. I mean, it can be really what you make it to be. So anyway guys, we're going to end the video here. If you like this content and you want to see more, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to us, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Bye.